My name is Rachel Morgan, and for the past 8 years, I've been married to a man everyone would consider the perfect husband. Andrew Morgan is tall, ambitious, kind, and loyal. At least, that's what people see. And for a while, I believed in the perfection of our life too. But love doesn't always survive in the spaces between work meetings and long nights at the office. Andrew worked in finance, a high-level analyst at a firm in downtown Chicago. Ever since his promotion last year, he's been practically glued to his job. He'd leave early, come home late, and most nights, he'd eat alone at the kitchen counter, answering emails with one hand while sipping cold coffee with the other. Our conversations turned into brief updates on bills, grocery lists, and the dog's vet appointments. It didn't start with a plan. It started with loneliness. And a voice that showed up when I least expected it. It was a Sunday afternoon when I first met Dylan. The house needed some repairs. Minor things Andrew kept promising he'd get to but never did. So I hired help. Dylan came recommended by a neighbor. He was polite, probably in his early 30s, with sun-kissed skin, a warm smile, and a confident way of speaking that made you feel like you were being heard. It had been a while since someone actually listened to me. He was there to fix a leaky sink and ended up fixing something else I didn't even know was broken. My need for connection. The first few days were nothing but casual chatter. I offered him coffee, and he complimented the garden. We talked about weather, baseball, and weekend plans. I found myself lingering in the kitchen more often, pretending to clean just to be near the sound of his voice. Then one day, he asked me why I looked so tired. I guess I'm just bored, I said, and before I could catch myself, I added, and lonely. It was the first time I had said it out loud. And instead of brushing it off, he nodded like he understood. Because he did. Dylan was divorced. His wife had left him 2 years ago, claiming he was too emotionally distant. He said he didn't realize what that meant until she was gone. And now he noticed things. Like when someone's smile didn't quite reach their eyes. We didn't do anything wrong that day, but something changed. I started waking up earlier to do my makeup. I picked clothes that made me feel attractive, even if it was just jeans and a blouse. And I cooked lunch while Dylan worked, pretending I was just being a good host. But I knew it was more than that. I tried talking to Andrew one night. He came home late, shoulders heavy with exhaustion. Eyes bloodshot from hours at the screen. Andrew, do you think we're okay? I asked gently. He looked at me like I had just asked about the stock market. What do you mean? I mean, us. You're never home. I miss you. He let out a deep sigh and rubbed his temples. Rachel, I'm doing all of this for us. You know that, right? I can't just walk away from work. I'm not asking you to quit, I whispered. I'm just asking you to be here, with me. Sometimes. His phone buzzed, and just like that, the moment was gone. He picked it up, nodded, and walked away while still talking to his client. The next morning, Dylan was back to fix a few cabinet hinges. He found me sitting on the back porch, staring into my coffee. Rough night? He asked. I didn't answer. He sat beside me without pressing. Do you ever feel like you're yelling into a void, and no one's listening? I finally said. All the time, he replied. He didn't try to fix it. He just let me speak. That was what made the difference. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a sudden passion. It was just small moments. Smiles that lingered too long. Fingers that brushed against each other. Conversations that grew deeper, and emotions that got harder to deny. One afternoon, it rained. The sky turned dark, and the thunder rolled like something out of a movie. Dylan was fixing the bathroom tiles, and the power cut out. We stood in the living room, listening to the rain against the windows. You ever wonder what your life would look like if one thing had gone differently? I asked. He looked at me, his eyes searching mine. Every day. And then it happened. He kissed me. It was slow, hesitant, as if giving me time to pull away. But I didn't. I let myself feel something for the first time in months. The kiss didn't last long, but it echoed in my mind like a secret melody. When it ended, we both stared at each other, wide-eyed and breathless. "I'm sorry," he said. "No, I'm not," I replied. The days that followed were a blur of guilt and longing. I told him we couldn't let it happen again, and he agreed. But even when we didn't touch, our eyes said what our mouths didn't. Andrew remained unaware. Work kept him distracted, and our marriage became a polite formality. We weren't fighting. We weren't anything. Just existing. Then came the week of Andrew's business trip. He was flying to San Francisco for a 5-day conference. I could have gone with him, but he didn't ask. Said it would be boring. So I stayed. The house felt even quieter than usual. On the second night, Dylan came to check on a broken stair I had mentioned before. I told him I'd leave the door unlocked. He walked in like he had always belonged there. We sat on the couch for a long time, not talking, just listening to the silence. "I should go," he finally said, standing up. But he didn't. That night, I made a choice I can never undo. It wasn't about revenge or lust. It was about feeling seen, feeling alive, and remembering who I used to be before everything became responsibility. The next morning, the guilt hit me like a wave. I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't even look at Dylan. He held my hand and told me he wasn't asking for anything. Not promises, not explanations. "I just wanted you to feel something again," he said softly. "Even if it wasn't for me." Andrew returned 2 days later. He kissed me on the cheek like always, handed me a souvenir mug from the airport, and went straight to his office. That night, I sat across from him at dinner and asked, "Do you still love me?" He looked up, confused. "Of course I do. Do you even know me anymore?" He didn't answer. The next morning, I told Dylan not to come back. He respected my wish. But the story didn't end there. 2 weeks later, Andrew came home early. I was in the kitchen, making dinner. He walked in, eyes darker than I'd ever seen. "You lied to me," he said. My stomach dropped. "What?" "I know about him. About Dylan." I froze. "How?" I whispered. "Emails. You forgot to log out of the shared tablet." There was silence. "I don't care about details," he said. "I just want to know why." I looked at him, tears building. "Because you were never here. Because I needed someone. Because I forgot what it felt like to matter." He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just walked out of the room. 4 days, we barely spoke. And then, one night, he came into the bedroom and sat beside me. "I failed you," he said. "Not just as a husband. As a partner. I made work my priority and assumed you'd always wait for me. I'm sorry, Rachel. I didn't know what to say. I'm not saying it makes what happened okay," he continued. "But I want to fix this. If you'll let me." We started therapy a week later. It wasn't easy. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight. Some days were heavy. Others were filled with uncomfortable silences. But slowly, the cracks began to heal.